Taylor, thank you. For the family of a lost World War II veteran, the end of the mystery is now here. Robert Lee Bryant was an Army Ranger who helped with the invasion of Italy in September of 1943. He would be lost there until new DNA advances helped identify him last September. His journey back to central Illinois has been extensive. American Graves investigators found remains in the southwestern Italian village of San Nicola, marked with just a letter and a number in 1947. It was 2019 when another investigator started to think that Bryant could be linked to those remains. So in 2022, they were further analyzed. With mitochondrial DNA and dental records, it was a match. The Dignified transfer and reception stretched along Veterans Parkway this afternoon.
I got the phone call in September, and the first thing the lady from the Pentagon said was, 81 years from today, your Uncle Bob went missing. 81 years from today, we have him.
It's just been real emotional to see all these people honor him.
U.S. Army Private First Class Robert Bryant was taken to Calvert and Metzler Funeral Home in Bloomington, ending that 81-year odyssey.